Hi guys, it's Zoe and today I am doing a video that I wanted to do for quite a while actually. So last summer I went on a trip with the company People to People, which was basically set up by President Eisenhower to like something about like peace and like connecting the youth, so like we grow up like knowing what we're doing. And they have trips for high schoolers and middle school students. And I did one. I went with a high school group, so like 9th to 12th graders. The youngest were going into 9th grade and the oldest had just graduated. And today, and in this series, I'm going to be telling you guys about my trip and kind of how it went and all that kind of stuff, because it was so much fun and I really just want to tell you guys how it went and like reminisce on it all. So I did this a year ago, so summer 2015, and unfortunately the actual company I did it with, which was the ambassador programs, has stopped doing their trips. People to People has another program, so I'll link it down below if you guys are interested. It is quite expensive, but it has some really good advantages to it. You can get high school credit for some stuff, because we had to do a whole bunch of like research and like workbooky kind of stuff, like finding out more about these countries before we actually went. I signed up about a year in advance. I signed up the summer in 2014, and things actually started happening about maybe November of 2014, and then I went on the trip in July 2015. So beforehand they did send me some stuff, by the way, before you go on your trip, because I mean I want to look the same so they can keep track of you. So I have a t-shirt, I have my lanyard, and I have some extra pins from whenever I was actually there. And I also got a like a folder with some other stuff. I have a bag that they sent me and some luggage tags. So I figured I'd put the shirt on and the lanyard, since this is what I wore on traveling days. And I had this on every single day, which is really gross and it's kind of disgusting because like the back of it got all gross. But I went to France, Italy, and Greece, and as you can see there's some pictures up on the wall from various things and trinkets from whenever I went. This episode I'm going to be talking about day 1 and day 2, which is kind of like the whole of day 1. One day in my mind, because I didn't sleep in between them. So the first day it started, it must have been June the 30th. And I woke up really early. I think we left at like 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the airport. So I was an out of area delegate, which means like the rest of the group that I was going with were flying, like they were all living in one area, because they try to keep you together so you can like meet people beforehand. But because I wanted to do this trip, I decided to be an out of area delegate, because they only do certain trips in certain places, and I really wanted to do this one. I flew by myself from where I lived to Chicago, which was like a 2-hour flight. So I left my house at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I got there, my flight was like at 6 or something. I got food at the airport, but the airport was so tiny that like there wasn't any good food. So I was like really hungry, because I mean I know I don't like plain food, like food when we're on the plane. So I was like, darn it, I'm not gonna get to eat. This is my first time flying by myself, by the way. On the plane, I'm like sat next to this woman, and she was really sweet. She was like asking me about People to People. She was saying how like her friend did it whenever she was younger, and she was going to India, so she was also like complaining about all the flights she had to go, and she was really sweet. So once I finally got to Chicago O'Hare, after my first flight, I had like a 6, maybe even 8-hour layover. I can't quite remember, but I was so bored. I walked around the airport so many times. I got food from Starbucks. But eventually, another girl showed up who was also an out-of-area delegate from Hawaii. She was so cool. And we just kind of chatted for a while we were waiting for the rest of the delegation to show up, because they took so long coming through security. They were supposed to like meet up with us at like 6 that night, I think, but they didn't end up coming until like 7. So like we were waiting there for a really long time, just the two of us. It was really annoying. But eventually they showed up, and it was kind of awkward because I just felt like I was a lot younger than the rest of them, because I was going into high school. So I was just kind of like, hey. There was like another little problem whenever I got on the plane, because since I had like a connecting flight, like this wasn't my first flight, my seat was like way in the front, like away from everyone else who were in the back. So I ended up switching places with the leader and sitting next to this other girl who we didn't really talk much on the plane, other than because like I was on the end, she was like in the middle, and she was like, need to get out sometimes, or like we apologize to each other for like banging each other. But actually by the end of the trip she ended up being a really good friend of mine. On the plane I didn't really sleep much. It was an overnight flight, by the way. We were going from Chicago to Frankfurt in Germany, and I was so tired. By the end of it I was like, what the heck is even going on? I just watched movies on the plane like the whole time. They had some really good ones, so it wasn't too bad. And then we finally got to Frankfurt, where I just kind of like wandered around. I was starting to get to know people a little more. I was like talking to them because I'm really shy and it was really hard for me to like talk to people at first. But everyone was so nice and we chatted and everyone was exhausted, so I mean it was okay. Played some card games, you know. That plane from Frankfurt to Athens, I did sleep like the whole time. I think it was only like a 2.5-hour flight, but I slept the whole time. I was exhausted. And then we got into Athens and there was like a problem at the airport where this girl, like some people's luggage didn't arrive, so we had to wait for a really long time, which actually was kind of fun because we were all so tired and like could not even stand. So we were just sitting on the floor in this airport. This is not exactly like the nicest, I mean like where we were at, because we were like out of the baggage claim. We went in the actual airport bit, so we were all like so tired. But we played with this little like collapsible cup that this one girl had, because it was like you press it down, then you pull it up, and it would like make a popping noise, you know, like the pop goes the weasel. Yeah, and it would like do that, and we found it like the most hilarious thing ever. I have to blame it all on exhaustion. We kind of bonded a little more over our exhaustion and the cup, and we played some card games. And then finally we got on the bus to head to the hotel. We stayed at the Hotel London, I believe it's called, in Athens. So it was like really close to the beach. It wasn't like in the city, it was like we had to take a tram, but I'll tell you about that next time. So we all had like roommates, and most of the people were in groups of 3, but I just happened to end up with it just being 2 of us. And it was a little bit awkward because she was like going into college and I was going into high school, and she really intimidated me, and I'll talk more about this later too because we got paired up several times. So from the hotel we could walk to the beach. So our delegation manager, who is basically the person who like organized all the stuff when we were over there, he was a really cool dude from Austria. I miss him so much, he was so cool. So he made us go to the beach. We were all like so tired and he was like, come on, gotta go, gotta stay awake because jet lag. So we all went to the beach for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, and it started raining, so we went back to the hotel and I slept a little bit before dinner. Dinner was good. We just ate in the hotel. Dinner, like food for me on this trip was really bad because I'm really picky. So like half the stuff we had, because it wasn't like you chose what you had, like you got what you got. So it was really hard for me to like eat. But I mean, I survived. It's okay. I did eat. We had like meat and rice, potatoes. There were some veggies, and then we went to go get some water from the gas station because we needed like bottled water. Finally, it was time to go to bed, and I was so tired. This was like this was really the longest I'd like ever stayed up. I was exhausted, and I was feeling pretty homesick too. I was like intimidated by this other girl in the room, and I was like, oh my gosh, people everywhere who were older than me. I was so tired. I mean, I was excited too, and I obviously like didn't want to go home, but I like just missed my family. And that was the end of day 1 and day 2. I hope you guys like this video. I'm planning on keeping on doing these. Next time will be a lot more interesting because it was the day we actually went into Athens. We went up to see the Parthenon, and we just kind of walked around Athens, and it was so much fun, and I can't wait to tell you guys about it. So if you do like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and comment below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!